oh, you're going to Punta Cana, you're going to this, and I'm like, no, it's a mission trip. We're going out there to work on a resource center, and we're going out there to do some work in some of the villages. And then, their tone would all of a sudden turn to like, oh, that's awesome. But that helped me a lot because I wanted to make sure that I didn't have that mindset. For me, I think I was trying to psych myself up to make sure I realized that this wasn't a vacation. And I think when I would explain to people I'm going to DR, the first thing they're thinking, oh, vacation. And so they would come at me before I could finish saying it was a mission project and say, oh, you're going to Punta Cana, you're going to this. And I'm like, no, it's a mission trip. We're going out there to work on a resource center, and we're going out there to do some work in some of the villages. And then, their tone would all of a sudden turn to like, oh, that's awesome. But that helped me a lot because I wanted to make sure that I didn't have that mindset. Claflin had the 200 acts of kindness, which kind of opened my eyes to what was going on out there a little bit more. I really did also want to help those who are in other countries. We left Logan. The flight was about 4 hours. It was an overnight flight, which I liked. It was from about 10:30, and we got there about 2. So it's a very small compound. It's not, it's not really a hotel. It's really just made, from what I understand, for the missions to stay. The first 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, I did construction. So we got to the compound, and they had a completed first floor that was already being used as an after-school program. And the second floor had a larger room and 2 smaller rooms. And the larger room needed to be painted, tiling needed to finish with the grouting, and the other 2 rooms needed full tiling. At first, the tiling went very quick, so we got a lot done the first 2 days. On Wednesday, we went and did the medical. So we went out to a village. We would set up in specific buildings that they gave us access to, and we would provide either deworming medicine for them to take, which helps because of the food and the water they have on a daily basis. Helps to get it out of the system. And then for those people who can't afford to go and get checkups, blood pressure and heart rate and all these other things, there was a little little triage section set up inside of one of the buildings. And first section was blood pressure. So you'd sit down, they put the blood pressure on your arm, and they'd measure your blood pressure and your heart rate. Then after that, I would take down all that information after they take the blood pressure, and then they would send you over to another section when you kind of wait for a little bit, and then you would move over to that's where it kind of breaks out. So you're either going to go sit down with the dentist, you're going to sit down with a nurse, or go past all that, go in the back and get just some basic vitamins and things. And there's actually a section we had set up back there for them to look through some clothes that were donated to see if there's anything that they can use for themselves or their families. So some people would go to the dentist, some would go to the nurses, and some would leave. One of the most difficult things I saw there was one child that needed a tooth pulled that looked like it was infected, and they didn't have any Novocaine out there. So we take that, we take that for granted. We're so used to having that as an option. Some of the things that get done without it out there because they have no choice was, it was just startling. So they actually had to pull it out of him without, and he cried quite a bit. It was a very somber time. It took a couple of minutes. It took about, maybe it's, almost 10 minutes or so of doing it and then stopping and then doing it and then stopping. When it was finally said and done and we got it out, we all just breathed a sigh of relief because we knew it had to be done. It wasn't cruel, it was definitely difficult. Another thing I loved was with the mission team I went, there just was a work ethic. It was, for me, it was making sure I keep up and that I wasn't slacking, because you have a limited amount of time and you want to make an impact on the mission when you get out there, so that when you leave, they're ahead of the game. And then when you come back, you're going to see what your work was the foundation for them getting to the next level and the next step in the project. Love the people I work with, and that's the reason why I can easily see myself doing it a number of years, as long as they'll have me.